All right, today we're going to talk a little bit about how games that focus on mental health and mental health related issues increase the effectiveness of their messages by using metaphors. And we're going to do this by taking a closer look at a specific game called Celeste. Now, Celeste is a game, to put it briefly, about climbing a mountain. That's the point of the game. It's very upfront about that. However, it is also sort of an allegory for a few things, but the one we're going to be talking about today is anxiety. Celeste is a big metaphor for overcoming hardships in your life and dealing with anxiety. Now, in Celeste, as you're climbing this mountain, you will soon come across a magic mirror. When you look in the mirror, you'll see a part of yourself that later manifests itself and tries to stop you, shall we say. This part of yourself fights you every step along the way, telling you you can't do it, even acting as an obstacle in later levels. Eventually, you'll have to confront part of yourself in a big epic chase battle sequence. After which, once you do finally confront it, you realize that you need part of yourself, and the only way to reach the top of the mountain is by working with it instead of against it. Now, the design of this part of yourself was something the developers put a lot of effort into. It's, as you can see, basically just a darker version of the main character. Obviously, purple hair, darker colors, red eyes, a general angry-looking demeanor. Additionally, the hair looks a lot more like tendrily and ominous and dark. And in the bottom left corner, you can see that there's like dark tendrils coming in from the right side of the screen. This is all to say, it's basically just an evil version of you, which it's never explicitly said, but it's if you look into it, you can kind of determine that this part of yourself is a metaphor for your anxiety. It's always trying to stop you, but always claiming to be protecting you, really. The reason the game never actually labels it as your anxiety is not necessarily to hide the fact, but to better talk about mental health without making it uncomfortable. Sometimes talking about mental health can be seen as something we don't really want to do, something that's awkward or uncomfortable, but by treating it as a metaphor, by sort of, again, not really hiding the fact, but by making your anxiety as this part of yourself, the game can still tell a cohesive and interesting story about how to deal with your anxiety, how it's not always just about well, you should confront it, but it's not always about fighting against it, how sometimes you need to work with your anxiety instead of against it. And that metaphor really allows you to better tell your message without just sort of being upfront about it, being a little boring about it, and maybe a little off-putting because again, sometimes mental health discussions can be a little uncomfortable. So yeah, thanks for watching.